Hey guys, how are you? Welcome back to my garden. Today's video is part 2 of planting more bulbs for a beautiful spring display next year. And you can tell I'm standing in the midsection of the garden, and this is the area that I'm gonna tackle today. You can also see the weather is still not amazing. The day started beautiful though. It was clear blue skies, sunny, had a rainbow over the Baltic Sea. I've never seen that before. That was really pretty. And I thought, oh, this is going to be a perfect day for gardening. But now it's kind of like grey and grim again, and we already had a first rain, which is not ideal for bulb planting, of course, but everything is mulched in, so the rain doesn't like go in that fast. If it was just like, I don't know, it was like maybe 5 or 10 minutes of rain. I need to see how far I come today because the weather forecast in general is a little poor for today and for tomorrow, even worse. So I think today I'll try to get as much in as I can. Tomorrow I'm just going to skip the day, no planting, no gardening tomorrow, but then I'm going to continue the day after. Because the midsection of the garden and the back section of the garden, I kind of see it almost like a transitional area. Like I'm not having like a harsh break or anything in terms of color or anything. And this is also why most of my bulbs go in here basically. There's going to be a lot of planting in here, and this is also like a big focal point of the garden because the main entrance of the house is also facing this side of the garden, or the back of the house, or the garden side basically, which is nice because everybody who gets to visit us gets to have a beautiful first view into the garden. And this is why I really want to make sure that this area is like really welcoming and warm and inviting and full of joy and color and all of that. So what I want to do first, as yesterday basically, I'm just going to grab my bulbs and I'll just walk you through a little bit, just talk you through about my color concept, what I'm planting, and then let's get cracking. I hope you're excited about today's video. It is a new day. After my intro yesterday, I set up everything here and tried to talk you through my bulbs and what I want to plant. And believe it or not, every single time after 2 or 3 minutes, the sky opened and it started pouring down. And I gave it 3 attempts, but after that I was like, okay, I've had it. I'm going to pack it, call it a day in the garden. And that's actually what I did. So yesterday I just got ready and hit the town again and a lot of supermarkets and hardware stores because I was like, I just want to check and see if I find really some nice new things for my Christmas decoration, because I really have this like new idea and concept what I want to do in my mind. And first time around I found a few things, but not really what I was looking for. And yesterday I was successful. Thank God I was. It was a good 7 or 8 hour day of shopping and going to all the stores basically. I was really exhausted, but I can't wait to show you what I found. And this is also a reason why I'm even more excited to get all of the bulbs into the ground now, because then I can focus and start with the Christmas decoration. One last thing maybe to say about the iris, I was checking online if I could still get my hand on some of those iris that I was planting with you in the front garden. And the online shop where I normally buy them, they were sold out there, and I found them in another online shop, but they were almost double the price. So I was like, okay, not gonna do that. I can wait for another year, just get to enjoy the 200 that I planted, the additional 200. And then I just wrote down in my phone basically for my bulb ordering for next year already that I need to order at least 400 iris for next year, so I don't forget. Maybe a little hint of advice for you as well. If you go through your garden, you have these ideas, so I don't forget it. I always have my phone with me, probably you might as well. So I just always write down on my phone, just as a reminder, all those things that pop in my mind so I don't forget about it. And like these shopping lists are definitely a big part of it, so I don't forget how many bulbs I actually really want to order, because otherwise I would probably order 200 again, and then I stand here again next year with you like, I don't have enough bulbs. So that's kind of what I want to say about it. Oh, maybe one more thing, one quick thing, because I don't know if I said it about the iris, because that kind of like popped in my mind yesterday as well. I don't know, do you grow crocus? Probably you do. I do as well, and purple crocus are quite all right. I love yellow crocus when they're like this nice buttery yellow crocus, but we have a lot of vowels here, and the vowels love yellow crocus apparently, so I absolutely cannot grow them. It's like feeding the vowels pretty much. And vowels, I think they don't like iris because they've never been attacked or anything. So if you're struggling with vowels as well, maybe the spring iris might be the perfect option for you, because from my experience, the vowels do not eat them. They only eat my yellow crocus, so I'm not going to plant any yellow crocus anymore. So what I want to do now, basically, same as yesterday, is just walk you through the tulips and the bulbs and everything that I have and that I want to plant in the garden today. And same as yesterday, I'm going to throw images of those tulips at the end of the video again, so you get to see the names properly again and how they look like, and maybe there's something interesting and inspiring for you as well. The first tulip that I'm planting in big masses is my absolute favorite tulip. There is. I ordered it online, so there's no photo on the bag as usual, but it's called Silver Cloud, and it grows, according to label, 30 to 40 centimeters in height, but it grows taller. Like, honestly, it grows at least 45 centimeters here in our garden. So definitely a beautiful, elegant tulip. It has this really lovely long stem. Even the stem has a tint of color to it, like a little pinkish tone. Kind of a simple, elegant shaped tulip, so nothing frilly frou-frou about it. And as the name already says, Silver Cloud. So it is like in a blush tone, a really delicate, lovely, light pink tone that fades out or ages into a silvery tone. So really beautiful, very soft, kind of like a beautiful spring color. And even the inside is really intriguing. So when there's a sunny day and the tulips are really open and you get to see the dark blue stamen on the inside, and the inside of the tulip has this kind of like silvery bluish quality to it as well. Absolutely amazing. And one thing why I love that tulip so much is I was living in Amsterdam for 5 years, and when you live in Holland, obviously you grow tulips. So this is what I did. I had pots with tulips on my balcony, and Silver Cloud was one of them that I had on the balcony every single year. I loved it so much every single time when I came out, and this is when I started introducing it to this garden as well at that point. So every single time when I see the tulip coming here, when I have these drifts and just look at them, it just takes me automatically back to my time in Amsterdam and just attached with like a lot of nice memories and emotions. So maybe just as a little advice for you, when you start planting your garden or choose plants, maybe choose something that has like a story for you behind, or that brings you to certain emotion or childhood memories. Could be all different things. So you have like these positive energies in your garden. For example, I love to grow phlox because phlox is a perennial that has so much childhood memory attached to it. Because my parents grew like a pink phlox, and that was always my absolute favorite perennial in the garden. And I think this is also why I just love to grow phlox in my own garden so much. Another color or thing that comes with childhood memories, actually, this is kind of like stretching it good now, is another tulip, but more in terms of color rather than the name. So my mum obviously also grew tulips, but she loved all the zingy colors. So she was growing them in like yellow and fire engine red and all of that. And I remember at one point when we were in the shop going for tulip bulbs, she told me like, you get to pick whatever you want to have and I'm going to buy it, just one bag. And I went for a tulip called Queen of the Night, and I think she hated it. So as the name said already, Queen of the Night, dark. It was like dark, rich purple, very elegant long stem tulip. She bought it, she planted it. I think she even told me that she didn't like it in the end, but that tulip came back every single year, so that definitely naturalized. And I still grow them, but in pots. Because they come in a tone that has like this blackish reddish tone in a way, and I want to have something that is more in this purplish blackish tone. So this is why I go with a tulip that is called Paul Shearer. This is a quite traditional kind of tulip, so nothing fancy or kind of like out of the blue. And I've seen it in other gardens before, but I'm going to introduce it new to my garden, because in the past I was growing in combination with a Silver Cloud a tulip that is called Victoria's Secret. Similar color, but it's a parrot, where I kind of discovered I like them, but I'm not a huge fan of them. I like the simple, elegant tulips a little better in my garden. And the problem that I had, there was a fly, with Victoria's Secret is that it starts flowering in almost like this burgundy tone, and then it ages to a beautiful color. So after 2 weeks into flowering, then it ages to a beautiful kind of like dark purple tone. So I love it in the last 2 weeks, and I don't like it in the first 2 weeks. So I thought, okay, I'm gonna replace it and try something different. This also brings me a little bit to the color concept now, on how the midsection and the back section of the garden kind of works. Since I started the channel, so 2-3 weeks, a month ago, I think, you got to see only my late summer and autumn garden basically, and you get to see all these like big drifts of bright color, like the big drift of like the Bistorita in this cherry red, the asters in like a deep purple and everything. But the garden starts a little different in terms of color. The front garden is kind of like these whitish, violet, sulfury tones. And the midsection of the garden, I have a lot of like very, very pale and blush soft colors going on. So I have like pale pink aquilegia, I've got white geranium, and then the tulip silver cloud. I've got iris in big clumps, which is a variety called English cottage, like white with a tinge of like violet in the blooms. Really beautiful, beautiful scented as well. So I start off the year very soft, and I think it has to do with the light here in the Baltic area. So the light after a long winter is like very still cold and fresh, and all the leaves when they're coming out are fresh. So I kind of want to start the year according to the light and the sun situation that we have in the garden. But then still I kind of want to have the counteract. Like I have all these soft colors, but then I need something to like balance it out. And this is why I bring in these like really dark tulips, because I think they are beautiful. I also planted like 3 cotinus in here that also have like a dark plum color foliage, also to balance off the soft colors from the blooms. And I intend on planting a lovely prunus, like an ornamental plum tree, next to the garden shed. So this is kind of like the color concept that I have going on here in this part of the garden. Another beautiful, beautiful bulb that I'm going to plant is Fritillaria persica. So I already put 3 on the slope with you in one of my previous videos, and now I ordered quite a lot of them online. They are absolutely glorious. Fritillaria persicaria, the bulbs kind of like are really big, you can tell, and they have a quite distinct smell. So touching them, I can tell you, hands are going to be a little smelly after that, but you can always wash them. But they come also quite early in the year, and they have this beautiful stem with these bell-shaped flowers all the way around it, and they're very beautiful. I'm growing a variety that is called Ivory Bells in the front garden, which has like whitish greenish bell-shaped flowers. Absolutely love them. But for the back of the garden, matching my color scheme, I go for the really lovely dark purple ones, and I can't wait for them. I hope they naturalize, because they also make amazing cut flowers. You can sometimes find them on a market, and I love to buy them then, because together with tulips they make amazing flower arrangements. So I hope they will naturalize over the next couple of years to come. One more thing about Fritillaria persicaria: if you are fighting the red lily beetle, which I do have here in the garden, they also love to go on Fritillaria, at least on these ones here. So I always come in quite early in the year and try to collect as many of those beetles as I can in a plastic bag, and then off they go into my wheelie bin. But there's just one thing you might need to know and consider if you want to plant them, that they also attract the red lily beetle. What else do I have? So, of course, I also have like my crocus here, my good bargain Hanso 80 blue ones. So the valves should definitely not get in here, I hope. They go into the ground. And then I got another tulip that goes in the back of a garden more, kind of like another focal exit point. Because when you're sitting on the terrace, which is kind of like 10 meters behind you now, everything that's in the back of the garden, because the property is kind of like long, it's more like stretched in length, you need to plant bigger, and you need to plant bolder and brighter colors there, because otherwise things kind of disappear and you don't really have these focal points anymore. So this is why I decided to go with a really pink tulip. This is called Albert Heijn, like the Dutch supermarket. And I feel I have enough for like 3 nice big drifts in the back of a garden. So when we're sitting on the terrace in spring, or late spring basically, when the tulips come out here, we get to enjoy kind of like these pop-up colors in the back of a garden. So I think that these will be a good addition for that purpose. I'm hoping. This is the first time I'm trying this out, so let's see what I say about it next year. Then what I have are 2 more things, and this is kind of like trying a little bit, because I have this area on that side of the garden which isn't really developed yet. There is on one side just like the yew hatch, which isn't really a hatch yet, it's just like yew basically, and then some miscanthus as a hatch definitely in front of it. And I kind of have this idea of when I'm going to develop this garden, I want to change the color concept a little bit and introduce one garden color that I really love, which is peach. There are a couple of really beautiful peachy flowers that you can find out there, and mix the peach with like blue and violet tones. But before I'm going to develop that area and plant and messes and everything, I just want to try out. And the slope, of course, is an amazing opportunity for me to try those things out. So the area, the last layer of the slope where I was growing my pumpkins and vegetables this year, I'm going to dedicate a little bit for trying those, or that color concept out basically. So I really want to put some of those perennials in there, always like maybe groupings of 3, and also try out new perennials that I've never grown before. So it gives me the opportunity to just like test it and see it and show you how it grows, how successful I am with that. And also I want to see and test some tulips in that peachy color. So this is Salmon Fun Ike. Again, kind of like simple, elegant, beautiful, long stem tulips in a peachy tone. So let's see how they are going to look like. And alongside with that, I ordered 5 hyacinth. This is a variety called Gypsy Queen, also in a beautiful peachy tone. So what I'm going to do now basically is I always start planting just one variety first, and then the next one, then the next one. This is how I work my way through basically. So what I do is I'm going to open all of my silver cloud bags now, put them in my lovely enamel bucket here. So this is always my little garden friend that it comes with me whatever I do in the garden. I have 2 of them. One is always for the tools and the second one is always for whatever I dump in there. So today I'm going to put all the tulips in there, and then I'm just going to work my way through the garden. And to make sure that I plant my silver cloud just in the right location, I checked on my phone where I had them last year so that I really go in the exact same area, just in case if some of them that I planted last year naturalized, I put them in the exact same location, so I always have the drifts and blobs, or however you want to call it, in the same area. In terms of tools, I'm going to do it the exact same way on how I did it in the front garden. Only when I'm going to plant the Albertine tulip at the back of a garden in the slope, I want to show you another technique on how you can grow tulips as well. But before that happens, I really want to start with my favorite tulip, so let's get cracking. "400 silver cloud tulips all planted." I'm really happy. That was a good start into today's project. So the next thing I'm going to tackle are the Paul Skira, because I also have quite a lot of those going on. And I've already defined the areas where I want to put them basically. So I know where I'm going to put my drifts and like my big blobs of those. So it is like a nice mix and mingle with both variety of tulips. You might see I'm standing on the driveway here right now because the wind started picking up, and I even got 2 storm warnings on my phone now. So I just checked the weather forecast and it says like, yes, we are having a proper storm, like first gale approaching tonight. So I'm a little like, oh, let's see. I don't go on the slope now for obvious reasons, because last time when there was a heavy wind picking up, some branches came down from one of the trees back there. So I'm like, I'm not having that situation today. And I hope that tomorrow I'm not going to be surprised by a lot of like dead branches on the ground again. The good thing is that all the leaves already dropped. So the trees are not so vulnerable to these heavy winds and storms at the moment. So I think it'll be okay, but still I don't go on the slope. So I already know like, anyways, it's too many bulbs. I can't plant all of them today. So I just see how far I come, and then tomorrow is going to be the rest in-ground planting before I continue with the last part of the video, where I'm just going to plant some things in pots. And that, of course, is the easiest and fastest and quickest of all of those projects. It's a new day, and it's a beautiful day actually. It's clear blue skies, the sun is out. I skipped my beach walk today. I was just walking with Alfie here on the dike for half an hour because I was like, no, I want to get in the garden, get planting and make the most out of the day. Still windy though, but I'm at the back of a slope, as you might see, so it's not a big surprise. It's always kind of windy here. And last night it was stormy. There was definitely quite a storm going on. It was noisy, but not a lot happened really. Just like some dead branches came out of the walnut tree, so nothing out of the blue. Happy about it, quickly collected them. And now I'm ready to continue with planting my last in-ground bulbs basically. So as I said, I'm on the slope, so this is where I put the Albertine tulips. So big drifts of pink tulips go in here, and I've already prepared a little area because I want to show you just a different technique on how you can get your tulips in the ground as well. Normally I use the other technique that I was showing you so far, but I just want to make sure when I do that I show you all different techniques there are. So what I'll do now is I'll flip my phone and then just continue with planting, planting and planting. Alright, so what I did here basically in this area here is I dug a trench, so it came in with my big potting shovel and just really taken out like that soil where I want to plant all of the tulips. And then I haven't taken out all the depth basically that I need to take out, but what I do in the end is just like get in here and just mix up a little bit the bottom layer so it's kind of nice and lofty, because then when you position your tulips in there, what you can do is you can still push them down so that they're really planted nice and deeply. Because surprisingly it kind of looks like a small area. It's just like one drift, but it's an entire bucket full of soil that I've taken out, which is really quite a lot. So what I do now basically is almost to how you would plant your tulips in a pot. I come in and then you just like sprinkle them in here. Kind of the amount that you want to put in there. Already quite a lot, but I think that is fine. And then you just get in there and just position them basically. Always with the pointy side up again as usual. This is always key. And always make sure that they are never touching, because this is really vital. If any of those tulips are touching, and if they would start to rot, for example, then it would just spread and the neighboring tulips would start to rot as well. So that would not be good, obviously. So this is all there is basically. So you just push them in, push them down. The nice thing about this technique though is you can exactly see on how you are spreading everything and where your tulips are, and if it's enough, if it's not enough, how thick you want to plant them. Like I like to plant them a little thicker sometimes, because then you get this really beautiful mass planted effect. And this is really gorgeous. So yeah, just the last ones in here. I don't think you're going to see those, what I'm doing now here, but that is basically all there is to it. Yeah, I think I'm happy. Wait, no, I'm happy with it. Well, one more. Always put a little more in there. So this is what you do, and then I just come back again with my bucket of soil. Ooh, heavy. And basically just get all the soil back on top of it again. And that is all there is basically to it. So this is the entire different technique of how you can do it as well. This works really well if you want to have like big, massive, huge drifts, or if you have like an open area, like I'm planting in my existing border, so that makes it a little difficult also like to really get in there and get the soil out. But depending on your situation, maybe this is a good and interesting technique for you to consider. It is time to plant the last bulbs for today. So I managed to get in all of my Albert Heijn tulips here, and then also I just quickly went down to the bottom of a slope and put the peach tulip, like the Salmon van Eyck and the peach color hyacinth in the ground as well. So now, last thing, really exciting, Fritillaria persica. So as the name already implements, if you're just wondering where they come from, persica, they come from an area between Persia and Turkey. So kind of like southeast Turkey stretching to Persia, like Syria, Jordan, Lebanon, those areas. They grow in mountainous areas, about like I think 2,500 meters in height. They like full sun. So out of everything that we are planting, obviously they need good drainage as well. They need quite a rich soil as well. And they need full sun. So when you plant these, make sure that you give them an area which is really southwest facing, which this area actually is. So there is south, there is west, and this is a quite sheltered area, which is good as well for them. So I got my little wicker fence here. It goes a little down here, so the soil doesn't really freeze that much, which is just perfect for those here. You can tell again that they're quite easy to figure out like how to put them in your planting hole, because you can already see some roots forming here, and they have this kind of like drop shape as well. Not as obvious as the tulips do, definitely not, but you can easily tell this is the base. You can see the rest of the roots, the fresh roots forming. And the Fritillaria persica, some of them have a little bit of a hole basically here in the center, so there you also get to see that is the top of your bulb. Now to the planting. When it comes to the Fritillaria persica, these are the only one where I'm going to improve the soil of my planting hole. So what I do is I've got my organic bone chips and I've got some compost. So I'm in luck because I grow my own compost here. So this is this lovely black crumbly, it's a little wet, but really beautiful texture. So I just put like a good handful of this into my planting hole. And then just a sprinkle of the bone chips. In they go as well. And then all I do is come in with my shovel, my favorite tool. So this is also like what I use to basically take the soil out of the hole here, because it has a good shape. You can just really go around it, lift it out easily when your soil is lofty, of course, which it is here. And now I can just go in there, toss it a little bit so it's all nice and mixed. It looks good. And now the bulb, so just check again, like the roots definitely facing downwards. And when it comes to the depth of a planting hole, if you really don't know how deep you should plant your bulb, a general rule of thumb is go with double the depth, double the size of how big your bulb is actually. So if it's like, if you count like this is your bulb, and then you're kind of like 1, 2, and then like here it sits here. So it's like double the width in the soil. This is like a general rule of thumb on where you never go wrong. So put it in there, then just take my bucket and backfill. The bulbs are so big, they're really whopper, so I don't need all the soil actually now to backfill. No, I don't need all of the soil. Put the mulch back on top of it, and that's it. So what I'm going to do now is continue on my own, just plant all of them. I think I have like around 40, 45 of them if I'm not wrong, which excites me a lot. So I really want to put them like here on this layer of a slope, and also in the back of the new perennial border, because that is like southwest facing as well. Perfect location. And I think that they look so pretty in combination with the Paul Shearer tulips and the silver cloud tulips. I think that's just like a beautiful combination. Can't wait for it. So this is it for today's video. Tomorrow is going to be part 3 and the last part, where I'm going to plant some bulbs and pots. So I hope you had fun with me today in my garden, and tomorrow is going to be a new day for more and the last bit of spring bulb planting. Until then, take care. Bye.